we operate within a continuum of other sister agencies. It's like a system where several components have to work in tandem. Many times I know the public has been quite persistent on certain elements, particularly when it comes to hate speech and related matters. For real, there are two things which sometimes bring confusion. One is the legal interpretation of hate speech. Because in the eyes of the public, if I throw unkind word to my colleague Isabella here, they'll just say, hiyo ni hate speech. Si tumemsikia kitukana. Why is NCIC? Kwa nini haijafanya kitu na kadhalika? But of course, allow me to put things very candidly. Hate speech as defined in the NCIC Act. An incident will only constitute hate speech when it is intended to stir disharmony within an ethnic community. Let me say this. If I throw an unkind word to Isabella and Isabella responds, that legally is not hate speech. Instead, it is defamation. But you see, people will start saying, because so-and-so ametukana so-and-so, NCIC should have arrested that person. The law, we must adhere to the law. That's number one. Then number two, again, there's the challenge about interdependencies. The role of NCIC is to investigate and prosecute. It ends there. The institution which is given the mandate to prosecute is not NCIC. It is the Director of Public Prosecution. So once NCIC takes its recommendation, it is the DPP's office which is supposed now to pick out from there. And then ultimately, it is the court which will decide the guiltiness or innocence of a person. So within that system, unfortunately, many times NCIC becomes the beating kind of entity into the entire process. But now, let me also address directly to the issue which the last speaker mentioned about holding the leaders accountable. From the NCIC side, based on our mandate as given by the law, the spirit behind the law which created NCIC was more of reconciliatory rather than punitive. That was the spirit of the framers. And you'll find that the law has been very explicitly saying, before you go to the extreme end, you must be able to take certain actions. This include reconciliation, this includes cessation notices, and so on and so forth, which, because we are required by law to do that, we have been trying to do as a commission. But finally, in terms of holding accountable, indeed we have, by basically sending a lot of cessation notices to those culprits whom we feel they are bordering towards the dangerous line. However, let us not leave it to NCIC alone. We as citizens of Kenya, we also have an opportunity, we also have an obligation and duty to call off those leaders who behave in an unacceptable manner. Because if we leave it to only one institution, remember, NCIC as an institution has to serve millions of Kenyans with bad manners, right? But of course, we, as the people whom we live, we can be able to call them into order. I would give one last example. I was impressed one time when a political leader went to a funeral service. And when he started kind of disparaging the other people, the mourners there called him off and told them, use your story, metuleta hapa.